Hi guys, in this video we're going to be learning to use the empty number line for mental calculations, and today we'll be starting off with addition. Now there are lots of different ways of doing addition problems. I've already done videos on how to use the formal method or chimney sums, and also looked at how to use partitioning, or what's sometimes called the split method. This method here is the empty number line. Now I prefer to use the empty number line as a mental strategy. I think it is far more effective if we try learning how to use the empty number line purely in our heads. However, if the empty number line is new to you, often it can be better to start off by writing it down until you get used to the concept and are able to perform it mentally more effectively. As with all calculations though, the most important thing is selecting both the strategy that is right for you and the strategy that is right for the problem. So it's about choosing the strategy that is the most efficient way of solving that particular problem. Now, the way I start these is when it comes to addition, we're going to start at this side of the empty number line. We're going to start with the biggest possible number, in this case 43. Now, we're going to take jumps up, starting with the units and then with the tens. Okay, so we're starting at 43. We're going to jump up with the units of the next number first. So we're going to start with the 6 here from 26. So if we take a jump of 6, so I'm adding on 6 here, I'm going to end up at the number 49. Okay, now some people need to do these jumps individually, so they kind of visualize it as 6 smaller steps, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, like that. But if you are capable of just doing it in larger jumps like that, that's far more efficient. Next, we're going to take a larger jump of 20. Okay, now some people, again, will need to do that as 2 jumps of 10, so they're counting up 10 at a time. So we're going from 49, 59, 69. And there we arrive at our goal of 69. So basically this strategy just involves counting up in the units, getting your answer, then counting up in the tens, and achieving your final answer. Okay? So let's look at it with an example where we're actually going to have to cross over a 10 bridge. Okay? So we're going to start with 58. And from here, if we add on 6, it's going to actually bridge the gap going across 60 here. Now, some people can do that again in just one jump of 6 straight away. But what some people prefer, and what I'm going to teach in this case, is doing it in 2 smaller jumps. So we're actually going to split up the 6 here into a 2 and a 4. So we're going to take a jump of 2 here, which takes us to a nice round 60. Okay, so we've jumped just up in 2 initially, and now we're going to jump in another 4, which takes us up to 64. Now, there is nothing wrong at all with jumping in one jump of 6 if you're capable of doing that, but some people, they quite like to see it broken down into steps, and if you are able to split up numbers, say a 6 into a 2 and a 4, or a 3 and a 3, that can sometimes be more effective. So where possible, we always try and jump to an even 10 somewhere, and then move on. Now we're going to count up in our, we're going to take our last jump of 20, so we can do that as 2 10s or 1 jump of 20. I'm just going to do 1 jump of 20. And that's going to get to our final answer of 84. Okay, so that's an example of how to use the empty number line for addition. And of course you can do it with bigger numbers as well. I could easily have this going up in hundreds, which in fact I'll show you an example of that just. So here's an example where we have 2 numbers that are in the hundreds, where we're adding them together. So we've got 648 here. Now again, I'm going to start with the units, the smallest possible number, and we're adding on 9 first of all. Now I'm going to do that in a jump of 2, which will get us to 650, and then a jump of 7, which gets us to 657. So I've gone to get to an even 10 somewhere, and then added on the rest of that 9. Okay, so the reason it's a 2 and a 7 is the 2 and the 7 are what makes up the 9 here. Okay, next I'm going to jump up in this 80. Now, I could perhaps jump in one jump of 80, but because it's crossing a hundreds barrier, a hundreds barrier here, I'm going to actually chunk it up again. So I'm going to do a jump of 50 there, which will take me to 707, and then I'm going to take the jump of 30. So plus another 30, and I get to 737. Okay, and again that 50 and 30 were because I needed to chunk up this 80 here. Alright, and I jumped in 50 first because I was trying to get as close to a round number, so in this case 700, as possible. So I was jumping in 50 and then 30. And then the last jump here is going to be quite easy. So jump of 200, and that takes me to 937.